Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Sports Talk. My name is JR, and today I'm going to talk about Week 2 in college football. So, to start out, I want to talk about the SEC. 3 teams, 2 of the 3 lost, Arkansas and Tennessee, and Auburn had to go into overtime to beat an FCS opponent, Jacksonville State. So, starting out with Auburn, they were number 6 in the country, and there was so much talk about Will Muschamp with their defensive coordinator, Jeremy Johnson, Duke Williams, and Week 1 versus Louisville, they weren't bad. They started out really well, but they did give up a rally, so there were some question marks after that. But then to come back and almost lose at home to Jacksonville State, now that's a statement, especially coming from a team that a lot of people predicted to either make the playoff or make it to the SEC championship game. So nobody's looking at them like that now, especially the playoff committee. I am very sure that they are not looking at Auburn the same now. And that shows they were number 6 in the country going into this weekend, and then they moved them all the way back to number 18. It's 12 spots with a win. So obviously that shows how bad they played. They had to tie it in the final minute to take it to overtime. In overtime they did play pretty decent, but they should. They're supposed to be the number 6 team in the country from supposedly the best conference in college football against a team that is not nearly as talented as far as players go, and from a national standpoint, Auburn should have blown them away. So, very disappointed with their performance, and I don't think they deserve to be much higher than 18. I mean, 18 may be a little far back for Auburn. Auburn is probably better than an 18. But, I mean, what do you expect? They almost lost to Jacksonville State. So until they prove they're better than an 18, I think it's a good thing they moved them back and didn't keep them at 10 or under. And I just don't think they could. There's just too much after that game saying that they got to move them out. So I really do think it's the right move. No, I think Auburn is better than an 18th ranked team. But until they show that, and they did not show that this weekend, so until they show that, I think they should keep them around that area. And I expect improvement now. They were exposed, and next week they're going to be better. I'm sure of it. How much better, I don't know. But they are going to be a lot better than almost losing to Jacksonville State. I think whoever they play, they're going to play, like I said, a lot better. So anticipating a lot better performance for Auburn. They need it. They need to get some momentum back. They lost a lot of it. This is going to make them play with a chip on their shoulder now, which is going to be a good thing for them. So it's a good thing they didn't lose, but they should have won bigger. But since they didn't, I think it's a good thing. From this point on in the season, I think they're going to play better. So moving on to Tennessee. Got defeated at home to Oklahoma 31-24 in double overtime. Tennessee led 17-0, 17-3 at halftime, and even led 17-3 into the fourth quarter before Oklahoma's offense finally started finding a rhythm. Baker Mayfield threw 19 for 39, 187 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions, while wide receiver Sterling Shepard, 7 receptions, 74 yards, and 2 touchdowns. The defense really kept them in this game, because Tennessee's defense played lights out for 3 quarters of that game. And so if Oklahoma's defense doesn't play as good as they did, and maybe Tennessee didn't make the miscues, then that's a Tennessee win. So credit Oklahoma's defense for playing as well as they did. Otherwise Tennessee would have won that game. So I think Oklahoma, I don't know, they're both very good teams. Oklahoma came in as a favorite, and Tennessee played very well for 3 quarters of that game. But then the talent of Oklahoma showed in the fourth quarter. Once they got the momentum, it really showed who the better team was. But taking nothing away from Tennessee, they are a very good team, and they played Oklahoma very well. And I mean, it was a great game. That last play, Joshua Dobbs tried to kind of go for it all there. Obviously now we see it was a bad choice, but either way, I think they're a top 25 team, even though they did drop out of the polls because they were only 23. So of course they're going to drop out, but I do think they are one of the 25 best teams in college football as of this point. And the last SEC team I want to talk about is Arkansas. The 18th ranked Razorbacks were defeated by the Toledo Rockets 16-12. Now, Arkansas, they have made improvements. They are getting better, but there is just no excuse for losing to a team that you should have blown out. They should have blown Toledo out. So, give Toledo a lot of credit. They had a great game plan. The defense played great. Alex Collins for Arkansas got 20 carries and 54 yards and a score. But just going back, 20 carries and 54 yards. This Arkansas offense is built around that power run game. So that defense must have played excellent. To have 20 carries and only 54 yards, they were doing something right. Brandon Allen threw 32 for 53. Arkansas does not throw the ball 53 times on a normal game. He threw 32 for 53, 412 yards and an interception. So, I don't know. If they had any hope of getting in the playoff, that's over. From a national standpoint, they just got beat by a team that they should have blown out. Like I said earlier, they should have dominated Toledo, and they needed to have a good loss. I know people can argue with that and say there is no good loss, which is partly true. But if you're going to lose, you need to lose to a team that has some national respect. For them, that would have been like an LSU or an Alabama, or a team that is known to be great, because then that wouldn't look so bad on Arkansas if they lost to Alabama. But to lose to Toledo, needless to say, they're not the top 25 this week, and I do anticipate them to come out next week and play very good. I do expect a good effort. They should have definitely beat Toledo. Now let's talk about the #1 team in the country, the Ohio State Buckeyes. They struggled on offense for about the first 3 quarters of that game. Cardell Jones threw 12 for 18, 111 yards. JT Barrett 8 for 15, 70 yards. And Ezekiel Elliott 27 carries, 101 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Elliott only averaged 3.7 yards per carry, which is really not what everyone's used to seeing. They're used to seeing a lot more room for him to run. I felt like the offensive line did not play very well. Therefore, the quarterbacks did not. They were rushed, and as far as the running game, they didn't open up the lanes for Elliott to run through, and they just didn't hold the defense back for passing situations. So the offense definitely needs a little bit of work. I mean, this is a team that I've really talked about a lot. I'm talking about how talented they are on the offensive side of the ball specifically. But they did not show that. They have the talent. I still firmly believe they have talent to win another national championship. But they got to move it in the right direction. The offensive line, it starts with the offensive line. If you don't have a good offensive line, you can have the best players, but if you have a bad offensive line, they're not going to be able to produce anything. So they need to get the offensive line worked on, and I think the rest is going to fall into place as the season goes on. But the defense, on the other hand, only allowed 85 passing yards and 80 rushing yards. They got a couple interceptions, scoop and score. So the defense played lights out. Very impressed with how they played. It's usually the other way around, where the offense is scoring is lighting up the scoreboard, and the defense is just not playing as well as they probably could. But the defense played excellent. Very impressed with what I saw there. And then Michigan State defeating Oregon 31-28 in East Lansing. Michigan State quarterback Connor Cook threw 20 for 32, 192 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 1 interception. Madre London, 18 carries, 103 yards. LJ Scott, 11 carries, 76 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Michigan State, they did play very well on both sides of the ball. The first half, the first drive for Oregon, they moved right down the field. It was like a 13-play, 75-yard drive. And you're thinking, well, I think Oregon might just come out and just play like Oregon always does and just score a lot of points and win the game. But that didn't happen. Michigan State made great adjustments after that series, and the defense played great. The offense played pretty good. They made plays when they needed to, and it was enough to win the game. Vernon Adams, 22 for 39, 309 yards, 1 touchdown, and 2 interceptions. Royce Freeman, 24 carries, 92 yards, and 1 touchdown. Brayon Addison, 7 receptions, 138 yards. Oregon's offense, plenty of yards. They just couldn't convert, especially on that last drive. Vernon Adams missed a wide open Byron Marshall. That would have been a touchdown if he would have been able to throw the ball perfect, but he overthrew him and kind of cost him the game there in the end. But Oregon played pretty good. Michigan State played pretty good. What I want to see is how both these teams respond after a game like this. Michigan State just knocked off one of the best teams in the country. Oregon just lost its first game of the season. How's it going to come back? I feel like Oregon's defense really needs to focus on tackling. Some of the tackles, they could have had Michigan State down, and they just couldn't tackle. Same thing in their first game against Eastern Washington. Their arm tackles aren't doing the trick for them. They need to really get better tackling. It's going to look a lot like last night when they play USC and Stanford, and teams like them, they're going to lose more, and they're not going to win the Pac-12 if they can't get their tackling. So I think they're going to make improvements. Michigan State is now number 4 in the AP, and Oregon drops to 12. So either way, Oregon is not out of the playoff picture. If they were going to lose, it was week 2. They have a lot of time left, and it was a respectable loss. It's not like they lost to Eastern Washington. So if they were going to lose, this would be the game they needed to lose, and so now they have time, and that's one loss that, like, TCU can't compete with. If TCU lost, they don't have a team like Michigan State to look at and go, that's a pretty good team, that's a good loss. So, good loss for Oregon. So if they can just turn around and play great for the rest of the season, they're going to be a major playoff contender. So that wraps this College Football Week 2 recap up. Thank you everyone so much for watching. If you enjoyed this, please like and subscribe, and I will see you all in the next video. This is JR, heading out.